Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Huh? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
And now, live from Palm Springs, California, your host, Leo Zagami.
And Christy Zagami. Here we are with the Leo Zagami Show. 2 minutes past the hour. The show is about to start. But it can't start without...
We have to dance. Dancing time.
Ah, okay. Here we go then. Your favorite chronicles of the apocalypse unfolding. They are really making an effort to make this apocalypse unfold sooner rather than later. But you gotta check that it's not squeaky. Rambo, where is Rambo? You don't want to wake up the beast.
Don't call him that.
It's a little beast. Okay, with the most unusual analysis of geopolitical matters, religious matters, philosophical questions, esoteric matters, all kinds of things that we discuss here on the Leo Zagami Show. And we've been promoting our book, Christy, which is going rather well. I mean, people are appreciating it. Here we have the new book by Leo Lion Zagami, Volume 7. So if you want to support this show, you know what you have to do. Purchase a copy of my latest book and you will definitely help us in our mission. As you can see, we are back here on a Tuesday. And that's because people have been purchasing my book and they have also been making the occasional donation. And we want to thank really those people who out of their own hearts donate and help us to sponsor this broadcast, which doesn't have really a sponsor. If not you are the sponsor. Somebody said, hey Leo, just saw you on Timothy's channel, 2 of the best. Well, we had a great chat with my friend Timothy Alberino a few years ago. We also had a very particular night in Rome. It was a really weird one indeed, and he is a very charming and prepared individual, so it's always a pleasure to be with Timothy, who is also an author. So please check out that interview. You can find it on the Timothy Alberino channel. Okay, while World War III is basically unfolding, I wanted to remind you how you can help us. You can do it through Fundly, through GoFundMe, and through Cash App, only for those who are living, of course, in the United States and Great Britain, because Cash App is not yet available on mainland Europe and continental Europe, so to say. And this is, of course, because we are being kicked out 6 times. In the end, they removed us. They really erased us from the book of the PayPalers. PayPal doesn't like us. Somebody said, what will become of the UK during the war? Well, you will be paying a lot for your gasoline, for your gas, for your food. Probably you will do much better than continental Europe, because you have reservoirs of gas, of oil that continental Europe doesn't really have. And like I said, We need your support to carry on our mission, and you can do it through Foundry, GoFundMe, or Cash App. And now, of course, let's start with the information today. Christy, we have a lot of news. We will, of course, also, for the pleasure of the one and only Christy, have our usual phone moment, no? And this is the Leo Zagami show. And of course, there is a lot of news. Mainly it's all focused on Ukraine and the current situation that has arisen, especially after Russia has said clearly through Vladimir Putin that for Russia, Ukraine is part of Russia's history, and they don't want to have them joining NATO or getting themselves involved with the nuclear weapons, because of course they still have the nuclear facilities. They even have nuclear plants, and that the infamous Chernobyl was actually in Ukraine. So that means they have the technology, the potential to really stick a knife at the throat of Russia, this in the terms used by Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, delivered a very interesting historic speech by an historian, because it was very much based on the history of the Soviet Union, on how, and also prior to the Soviet Union, but mostly how things unfolded with Ukraine from Lenin onwards. And it was done in a way that also was very critical of the Western powers that are now supporting Ukraine. Because yes, it's true that Ukraine is changing its course, no? It's embracing everything that is Western, but it's also true that they are still using old stuff that was left there from the Soviet Union, and that their life hasn't improved that much, because most of the money poured into Ukraine usually ends up in the hands of the oligarchs. So this was, of course, put a bit of air conditioning, Christy?
Yeah.
Why didn't you put air conditioning before? You know that we really need to have air conditioning here when you have all these studio lights, and that's why also we bring you this show in a way that, of course, is pleasant, because you have a good lighting, a good visual of me or my wife. But then, of course, we all know, no, in a studio, the lights generate heat. Oh. So what?
My throat was itchy too.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's like the air is really bad here right now in Palm Springs, and my throat gets itchy, and so then I have
sometimes the air quality can go down the drain. That happens when the air blows from what? From Sultan? How is called that place?
I don't know.
Salton Sea?
I don't know if that's Salton Sea. I
Salton
don't know, but
and also, or otherwise from LA, I guess. But usually it's rather nice here. It's rather pleasant here.
Yeah, but I was gonna cough when you were talking.
And so, what did you do?
I went got drink water.
Ah.
And I hope I don't have to cough again.
That's no problem. I'm sure that we will be understanding if you have to drink some water on the air. Though I must say that people who tend to drink water while they are in the middle of the show, it's not so professional. We hear some banging here.
Yeah, they're doing work right here, right behind us. So it's like, I don't know, it's 5 o'clock.
They should give us a break. This is like the Leo Zagami show.
Bang, all day long. Bang, bang, all day long.
So, Ukrainians so persecuted by the Russians joined Germany in World War II. I don't know about that. Ukrainians were basically part of the Soviet Union. Before they were part of the Russian Empire. In fact, it used to be known as White Russia. The Tsar Nicholas II went to Kiev just a few months, I think, before being capitulated by the Bolsheviks. But I mean, the history of Ukraine, of course, it's viewed in a different way if you are Russian or if you are Ukrainian. Even the way now they pronounce the name of their capital. The Russians say Kiev, the Ukrainians say Kiev. So Kiev or Kiev? Well, one thing is for sure. The treaties that were signed a long time ago to assure that Russia could never have this sense of isolation and being surrounded by NATO and almost in an aggressive way have been, in the end, have not been respected. And we also know that there is a series of treaties that have not been respected. So I don't understand. There is START 3, for example, the Strategic Arm Reduction Treaty. Russia insisted in having this START 3 renegotiated, and there was no answer from everybody in the Western world who seemed uninterested, especially the United States of America. So the expansion of NATO and America's plans to move forward with the more missile defense systems, which would, of course, at this point, in a way, require a change also in the anti-ballistic missile treaty of 1972. There was a series of obstacles for START 3 that was proposed to reduce the nuclear weapons. And of course, there was that famous meeting between Bill Clinton and that drunken fool of Boris Yeltsin in 1997. At that time, Boris Yeltsin, I went to Russia, he was really, most of the time, he was totally drunk. At one point, he fell into a river near his residency. I mean, a pretty cold river, but he was so drunk he fell in it. I mean, so the negotiation broke down. The treaty was never signed. START 3, START 2 was okay, but then START 2 was, like I said, they didn't They didn't move forward. The West doesn't seem to really want to embrace in any way or help Russia, because yesterday, within the speech that Putin gave, he said when a very interesting thing regarding his chat he once had with Bill Clinton. He said, and what if Russia join NATO? Will America oppose this? Or America has never really embraced the possibility of having Russia amongst NATO, which will have automatically created a world without a potential enemy, a boogeyman that, as you know, is always required by the military-industrial complex. What is happening, though, in this case, is that we have also another treaty that was of great importance, the Minsk Treaty. The Minsk Treaty was also an important treaty. The Minsk Agreements, more than treaty, yes, let's call them Minsk Agreements, which basically was a protocol that was drawn up by the Trilateral Contact Group on Ukraine, which also had, I think, France heavily involved, which consisted of representatives of Ukraine, Russia, and OXE. And the group established in June 2014 that there needed to be a dialogue and a resolution for all the problem regarding also Donetsk and Luhansk, which are now those two breakaway republics that have been finally recognized by Vladimir Putin, who yesterday signed an official recognition. Now, at that time, we had Petro Poroshenko, who used to be the president, and of course, he was also a very controversial president for some people. But I mean, he really was placed there, we can say, in a way, by Barack Obama. And we have a lot of interest, economic interest, also private interest of the Biden family that directly involve Ukraine. I mean, his son, Hunter Biden, was so the Minsk agreement was signed. Then at that point, what happened? What happened at that point? Well, the Russians are circulating a sort of meme, which I think I have here. A friend of mine from Russia gave it to me, that really makes us understand how they feel about this whole thing. And this is an average Russian person. I mean, I know many Russians, as you know. I worked many years in Russia, so I have a lot of friends in Russia, but this is not particularly somebody from the establishment. But this, I know also a lot of people from the establishment, of course, but this is just to tell you the voice of an independent guy who just wanted to send me a meme to make me understand how the general population of Russia feels about the present situation. Now, we said that there was a treaty that was more than a treaty, an agreement. That agreement was, of course, made in 2014. I'm trying to find here the thing, because we are using now a new system here, but it seems like I don't know if it's gonna read it or not. This let me see. Seems like for some reason I can't get this this image on the screen, which it's a little bit disappointing, but I don't understand where it comes from, this problem. As you know, you upgrade the operating systems of the computers, and then at times they can give you some problems. But in this case, the problem seems to be that we don't have the possibility of no, there is no possibility of putting it in the comments from the studio. That's why usually we have it in a way that we can go inside and we can play around. But for some reason it says so here it says to me that I have to follow a series of passages to authorize. Now apparently there is a authorization requirement
every time.
No, but there seems to be some kind of link that I have to go and put, so I can then have this appearing on the screen. Of course, I might not have the time to do it now. So what I'm going to do instead now, I'm going to tell you what it was about. Well, it was simply about the fact that in a funny way, Russia, there is like an exchange of messages. Russia is basically saying Minsk to France, Germany, what? So basically for a number of years, every time Russia brought up the fact of renewing what was discussed in Minsk, they simply didn't want to move forward with a Minsk free. They didn't want to discuss all this. And the meme ends up with Russia saying in 2022, after the last time, in 2021, Russia says Minsk 2, France and Germany say what? Then in 2022, Russia says Donbass recognition. At that point, France and Germany want Minsk 2. And Russia says what? So, I mean, they have basically, in a way, they are taking it with a bit of sarcasm, the Russians, no? So, but what is important to understand for all the people who are watching us, this is a situation that we have been discussing for many months here on the Leo Zagami show. The possibility that after a bacteriological warfare that is still being unleashed on mankind, we will finally have something different and even more terrible, which is World War III. I've been discussing it in detail in my books. I've been warning people about it. Nobody really took it seriously. In the end, I've been now publishing this book, which outlines the reasons why they need this war and why this war will unfold in the, I hope, later rather than sooner, because their intention is to, of course, get rid of part of mankind. And we are here, of course, today in a situation that is unprecedented. So are we gonna see, of course, now some changes, sudden changes, and maybe Russia retiring from those two new proclaimed, no? They self-proclaimed these two People's Republic that were part of Ukraine. Of course not. Of course not, because they have been fighting there since 2014. Of course, not officially, with they used to call them the green men, little green men that ran around, that were part of Russia's army, but without any official recognition. Now they are officially there. There has been basically a official recognition of these two breakaway republics that are prevalently made of Russians. And at that point, now we have a situation which is, of course, a very delicate situation at the worldwide level, especially when the modern world of today is ruled by people who come out of universities where they teach the wrong things. They don't really teach you history in the way they should be. I mean, yesterday, one thing I noticed, I mean, you can either like or dislike Putin, but definitely you can see a guy who is not using a teleprompter, who is not using basically the kind of facilities that Biden uses, and even with a teleprompter, he gets it wrong. Even if he's reading from a book, he will get it wrong. The guy is, of course, as we know, completely demented. Here we have somebody who delivers speeches without using a teleprompter, somebody who delivers speeches with great confidence, with a complete lucidity of mind. We don't have that here in America because we have how many millions of inhabitants there are in the United States? Over 300 and I don't know how many million.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Like that.
yes, and you had to place as head of the United, as commander-in-chief, a guy who should be in a retirement home. It's obvious. It's obvious.
We didn't want him. We didn't want him.
No, I know that you didn't want them, but definitely this has created some serious problems.
That's all part of it.
Which, of course, if you want to transform this republic on which we stand in a socialist shithole, you encourage this war, because that's what's happening here. Democrats don't have anything going for them. Even today, even Bloomberg has warned the Democratic Party that they will be wiped out off the face of the earth in the next elections, in the midterm elections. So they are really, they know that they don't have nothing to look forward to. They are desperados. Okay?
Yeah.
They are desperados. So that's the big problem for them. And the fact that they are desperados makes us understand that they could actually indulge in pushing Putin to do more and more things that actually are negative, and they should be avoided, because diplomacy should be always at the forefront. But now already we have, for example, America refusing the meeting that was supposed to be between Blinken and Lavrov. Already is being called off because of the invasion. They call it invasion of these two breakaway republics that have been recognized by Russia, and so where is the dialogue? There is no more dialogue. Somebody says Biden is a national hero. Yeah, in the minds of who? Yeah, no, I was just joking. Just joking. You were risky though to be banned, because I mean, here people who are in favor of some demented fool who doesn't even know how to wipe his ass. I mean, I'm not saying you know, you can't read from a teleprompter, but the guy literally can't wipe his ass. So it's a very serious thing to have an old folk who basically eats ice cream because, like we said in the past, he has some some problems, and then the ice cream helps the problems that you get with old age.
Well, he shouldn't be president.
He definitely shouldn't be president. In any case, of course, Trump made some comments that were immediately disregarded. Jen Psaki was asked what she thought about these comments made by Trump. Like Fox News said, no, I think it was Hannity who said Putin is playing chess and instead Biden is playing checkers. I mean, it's definitely very sad to see how the United States has fallen into the hands of such incompetent people.
And then Kamala.
And then, in order to save the day, call Kamala. I mean, isn't that like completely demented? No?
It's embarrassing. Every time I see her.
It's very embarrassing, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Chrissy, you talk. I give the stage to you. I'm just here fixing a couple of things technically, so we can maybe fix this problem that we have. So what's your take at the moment regarding the situation and what we are facing? Because, of course, we're going to be facing gasoline going up, gas going up, prices at the supermarket, the food store going up. All this because we need to defend a country who is not even a member of NATO. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I think it's ridiculous. I think that this is a great way to sabotage us worse than, to make a bad situation worse, to just totally destroy us. This is a good way. We're already suffering right now. People can't, pay their bills as it is. So I just, already the inflation is so bad and the gas is so bad. So, they say it could get worse. And I'm like, okay, how much worse can it get? It's going to get really bad if we get into war, which we're going to, which we are. So, and then I don't know, I have two sons, so I just worry about them. And, I was talking to my youngest and he's like, am I going to get drafted? And then I never even considered that. And it just really shook me up. I never even thought that I would be considering something like that. So it's just scary for a lot of reasons. We shouldn't be going to war with Russia ever. So I side with Russia. So
now you side even with that. That's something I don't know if it's gonna make you very popular, because of course the moment in which I
don't know. When I listened to him, and the things that he said, it was like a history lesson, and the things he was talking about Ukraine and how it was a part of Russia. And it doesn't seem like he wants bad things. It just seems like they were just jerking him around for so many years that he's had it. And I don't think he's evil. I think that That's what I think. So maybe I'm not supposed to say that.
No, I mean, you can say you're an American citizen, so I guess you.
Of course, I'm American citizen.
No,
so,
but I mean,
you know.
you're free to say whatever you want. Up until now, we still don't have let's say, a dictatorship in this country, though it seems that pretty soon is coming into fruition. I mean, it's the way that things are unfolding is like, you know, they created out of the 6th of January, which was basically a trap, and I discuss it in detail in my book, Volume 7. And they have created something that, of course, shows us how, America is now left with a sense of injustice for those who simply were going inside there. Maybe they violate the laws because, of course, they shouldn't have gone in. And I was the first one to even say before they even went to Washington to not even bother to go to Washington on the 6th of January. But for those who went in, the punishments that have been put into place are definitely it's a heavy thing, heavy price to pay.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think so?
Definitely. The way they're treated. It was all just like they got tricked into it. They really were tricked into believing something. The ones that went in, and they were really patriots, you know, for what they did. That's what I think. And now it was just a trap. So they shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have gone. They should have saw the trap. But everything's been so like it's just like an illusion, you know. There's just so much smoke and mirrors, and you know, like so many people don't know what to believe. Like during that time, you know, a lot of people were believing the wrong things and they thought they were right. So I don't know. Hopefully they straightened out and they don't believe those things like QAnon anymore. They realized
that they wasn't right.
Yeah. I also think like going into a world war right now when America is so separated as it is, it's just like really like usually like growing up America, like in the 80s when it was like we had this Cold War with Russia, and it seemed like America was more united. Like we were really reunited. But now it just doesn't feel like that anymore. We don't believe in our president. We have no confidence, you know, in the people that are running the country. And so, I don't know. It's like, it's just weird. It's just a strange time. I don't know.
And how are we gonna find a solution to all this?
How?
I mean, are we gonna just keep on believing that the politicians in Washington are gonna help us, or we gonna finally realize that maybe we need to also prepare for ourselves for maybe the possibility, like I said in this book. And what do I talk about in this book? I talk about a great reject. I talk about preparing maybe in a way to a society which is different, that might reject what this current society is preparing for us. Don't you think so?
Yeah, it seems like really, I don't know, like it's a strange thing to be thinking about, you know. Like you're used to the same thing all the time, and all of a sudden now you have to start to think about something else. Like maybe America not being all united. Maybe some of us are going to be here and some of us are going to be here. And so it's just something you have to wrap your mind around.
America is united because the people of America believed that they could really Ladies and gentlemen, we had a little bit of a problem, a technical problem. We are trying to sort things out here. Somebody was asking me regarding what has happened in Canada. In Canada, before the line here, in Canada, of course, as you know, Justin Trudeau, even after he has punished in the most draconian way the Freedom Convoy, continues with the never-ending state of emergency. And a Canadian lawmaker claims basically that a woman was punished and her bank account closed only for donating $50 to the Freedom Convoy. I mean, it's just like totally out of it what happens here.
This has nothing to do with public safety and everything to do with punishing those who have dared to speak against government policies. We're sent here to protect the rights of Canadians, not take them away on the flimsiest of excuses or to punish those who embarrass the Prime Minister. There are many who will say good riddance to the protesters, and many who will cheer on their financial ruin. Clearly, while there are many supporting the protests, there are many other Canadians who are disgusted by them. Indeed, many Liberal supporters are cheering on the Prime Minister's strong-arm tactics against our fellow Canadians. They'll point to public opinion polls, showing that people agree with the government's decision to put the boots to those who are embarrassing them on the streets of Ottawa, to put the protesters back in their rightful place, and to serve as a warning to others that there are consequences for daring to question or push back against the government. I will remind this House that many of the darkest chapters in our history, many of the things we look back on in disbelief and shame upon, many of the suspensions of freedoms and liberties that past governments have brought down upon our own people were cheered on by the majority of Canadians and the majority of MPs and were justified in these halls. That doesn't mean they were right. It doesn't mean they were just. And indeed, I believe that if we allow this to stand, there will be a time when a future Prime Minister rises in his place and apologizes for the actions of the current Prime Minister in this case. The Prime Minister's made a purposeful political choice to create the division we see in this country today. This has been confirmed by the Liberal MP for Louis Hébert. Instead of seeking understanding and common ground, the Prime Minister sought political advantage through division. When his pollsters told him he could turn vaccinated Canadians against unvaccinated Canadians, friend against friend, neighbor against neighbor, and family member against family member, he jumped at the chance. He spent the entire election pitting Canadian against Canadian. He called those who disagreed with him racist misogynists who should not be tolerated. He called them a fringe minority with unacceptable views, as if being a Prime Minister or being a Liberal gave him a monopoly on what acceptable views are. He inflamed the situation in Ottawa with his rhetoric and then went into hiding. He continues to divide for partisan advantage. And now he wants this House to simply roll over and allow him to steamroll the rights of Canadians he disagrees with and use a tool he has no justification to use. The use of the Emergencies Act and its order in this case are unjustified. The thresholds have not been met. Its invocation will only serve to further deepen the divisions that have been purposely sown by this Prime Minister. Invoking the Emergencies Act will not resolve a national crisis. Indeed, it may create one. It's time to stop using the powers of government to punish those who have made difficult, unpopular decisions about their own health. It's time to stop going down the Prime Minister's path of division and instead choose the path of healing and reconciliation. And the first step on that path is the rejection of the use of the Emergencies Act against our fellow citizens. We must vote against this motion, and we must instead work together to lower the temperature, give Canadians back their rights, and work together to heal the divisions in our land. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Mark Stroll, MP, lawmaker, finally, that says things really, I mean, from Canada, lawmaker from Canada, who really made an exemplary speech. Now, there has been also a very incredible event that happened in the Canadian Parliament, which I want to show you now, in which a lawmaker tried to question the fact that Klaus Schwab admitted that more than 50% of the parliament was in the hand of the World Economic Forum. Something that, by the way, you will be able to find also in this book that unveils the occult roots of the Great Reset, aside from the populist roots of the Great Reject. And this is what happened. Here we go with the question time in the Canadian Parliament that saw the censorship. The guy was censored, which he said. After he talked about Klaus Schwab, the guy said, yeah, you're saying an important thing, but the volume is not good. We have to take it off. I mean, it was incredible.
As we've been watching Canada suffer under that little dictator, Justin Trudeau, many of us have been wondering, why is this happening now? Why the escalation? Many other countries around the world, many different locations in Canada are even rolling back many of the COVID pandemic mandates. And so what is this all about? Why is the Canadian government invoking the Emergencies Act and bringing the heavy hand of a tyrannical government down upon their own citizens? Why is this happening? On our show, we do a live show every weekday. I hope you subscribe and join us. We have been talking about the World Economic Forum and the guy who runs the thing called Klaus Schwab. We have a clip where he said that he penetrated Justin Trudeau and Trudeau's cabinet and many other cabinets and governments throughout the world. But a question about that video, which we are going to play here, came up in the Canadian Parliament before it was cut off. We're going to dive deep into this, but I want to take a look at the objection and show you specifically how this sounded in Canadian Parliament when this guy, the speaker position, the guy who is keeping order in this forum, stands up and cuts the question off. And so we're going to listen to this a couple times, but briefly, let's just watch this objection.
Could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again.
Okay, so he says that the audio was bad. We're going to play that full clip here in a minute, but I want to add a little bit of context. I want to show you.
I mean, this is so insane. This is so insane. Canada is becoming worse than Cuba. I mean, this is Klaus Schwab, who actually said it himself. He admitted this.
Penetrating the different cabinets all throughout the world.
And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau,
Canada,
and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the world economy.
Wow.
So that's it. I mean, it's like this book is so relevant, guys. You need to get it now if you didn't get it, because this book might be censored. I mean, it's very successful at the moment, but as soon as Klaus Schwab and his bunch of criminals understand the fact that they have exposed their dark side, but not just in the surface, not the geopolitical or political or business implications. This is like the connections to the Vatican, to the Masonic lodges, to the Illuminati of Klaus Schwab. So this book is essential reading, and I mean, I'm glad that people finally starting to realize the importance of this book, because it's actually going in the charts, no, Christy? I don't know now what point of the chart. Let's see what point of the charts we are with my new book, Confessions of an Illuminati, Volume 7, from the occult roots of the Great Reset to the populist roots of the Great Reject. And this is, of course, the book that I just brought out recently, and that has a 5-star, all 5-star reviews. So nobody's complaining. It's a very good thing when nobody complains. The Kindle is number 9 in intelligence and espionage, number 9 worldwide in the section of the bestsellers of, watch here, Amazon bestsellers in intelligence and espionage. And basically the book is
oh look, there's Snowden.
Edward Snowden. So we have Snowden and then other users. So I hope I don't end up like Snowden having to.
You have one level up to go.
Yeah, well, I hope I don't have to take refuge in Russia after writing this book or something like he did. But this is basically the Kindle chart, and then we have also is number 50 in the political intelligence here. I show you, and so I mean it's not bad. It's number 50 also in political intelligence. Let me show you for those. And political intelligence is also a very important chart. These are the bestsellers of Amazon in 2 sections, which are rather peculiar because usually these kind of books get put in other sections. But let's see how the paperback is doing. And by the way, we have also for the first time the hardcover, which is also starting to take off. I mean, the hardcover is, of course, more expensive. What can you do? I mean, these days the production costs are enormous. We don't get any different. I mean, if you purchase a paperback or you purchase a hardcover, for us it's the same, no, Christy? So I mean, it's 22 here in political intelligence. Is in the chart, the paperback here, number 22 in political intel. Let me show for our viewers. So here we are. Let's see what kind of books we have here, more or less like the other chart, the Kindle one, but in this section here, what's here, full of spooks, spies, and whatnot, and of course, Leo Zagami.
Does that say Putin's playbook?
Yeah, I'm next to Putin's playbook, guys. I'm next to Putin, Russia's secret plan to defeat America. Wow. So, Leo Zagami's book, not bad. I plan on getting the hardcover soon. Somebody says, there are advantages of having Kindle as you can search words. I like to have the book through. Well, that is a good one. You know, people sometimes like to do that too. Vedremo mai un bacio alla bella. Somebody says, if they will ever see me giving you a kiss live on the air. Well, I mean, this is she's too shy. But you can give me a kissy here.
No.
Okay, no. Of course, I discussed that the brotherhood, the way the brotherhood in my books, in my confessions. Infatti, spendi è tu un mostro elegante, no? I don't agree, Andrea. I don't agree. Said I'm an elegant monster. Well, but it's good to be a monster in a way, no?
Wait, I wanted to say something about Canada.
Okay, Canada. Please, Christy, please.
Okay, you know, like what you were telling me about what they were doing on Google? Like they were finding all the people that donated, and then they were showing their address.
Yeah, that is something that I want to show you guys. This is really insane. I mean, we just saw the video of the politician who said that one woman, but this is a lot of people who are risking the same fate. And basically, Google has published, and this is outrageous, I find it totally outrageous, all the list of the people who donated. And you can actually click on the map and see who they are. So basically where they live, their email, their website, their address, everything. I'm going to show you. This is really something insane, guys. So when they sent me this link, I was like a little bit skeptic. But this is basically what has been made public. These are all, I think this is actually convoy donors just in Ontario. And then they have them in every part of Canada. If you go in one of these, for example, if you go in one of these, you can, for example, go one, this, donation date, donation name, donation first name, or here, for example, donation name, donation first name, donation ID, donation postal code, and this goes on and on. So they have been just in blackface donation name. So they've been exposed on Google.
And this is even the one where they didn't even get the money, right? I mean,
no. I mean, these are the donors. Then the money, I don't know where it ended up.
They didn't even get the money.
Maybe they did, maybe not. But I mean, this is how they have literally doxed them, like somebody is pointing out, and it's a scandal. And it's a scandal.
It's evil.
And it's really evil. But it's even more evil to know that some of these people who donated will now lose their work and they lose their bank accounts. I mean, this can only happen in a communist
So then, they're never
sorry.
going to want us, do anything.
I don't know, man. Canada is, you know what I think of Canada. I always said it. I made it very plain, I was always very open about what I think of Canada. Now, I said that is a shithole from the very first, from the beginning. Actually, from even before this whole crisis, even before the truck drivers started the protest, I always said that Canada was dangerous and was really a place that during the pandemic was becoming more and more oppressive. So, well, it's really evil to do that to people, normal people. I think it's really, it's insane. It's a tyrannical thing that, and in the meantime, you have people like Bill Gates, friend of Justin Trudeau, of course, who went to this, there was the Munich Security Conference in Germany. We had Kamala going there to save the world, but we also have Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates, guys, Bill Gates, I mean, totally insane what happens with Bill Gates, because Bill Gates is a guy who pontificates, reprimands people on the use of mask on a stage when nobody's wearing mask. And look what he's saying, that the mask is essential as wearing a pair of trousers. It's just insane. This is Bill Gates, guys, a complete and utter psychopath who, of course, made a lot of money, but is now pretty clear what his intentions are. Check this out.
What about masks? I think there are a lot of people in America who are confused about whether they should be wearing a mask. And in the United Kingdom, for example, they've scrapped that altogether.
Well, that's interesting. What is the downside of wearing a mask? I mean, it's got to be tough. You have to wear pants. This is tough stuff. These societies are so cruel. Why do they make you wear pants? I'm trying to figure it out.
We're very glad you have yours on.
For sure we'll be
Everybody laughs. Christy, what do you think about that?
Don't they all love each other though already? I mean, they're all like buddies, all these people.
So insane, man. Insane.
Does anybody have any reason anyway?
Now,
really?
these insane people are really getting out of control. Rand Paul has warned us here in the US, though, that basically we might risk, we're talking about the tyranny in Canada. Now, somebody on the chat was saying, there is a deep state operation, blah, blah, blah. Guys, the truth is that Canada is an oppressive nation at the moment, which has used an emergency act, which has no justification. You have no freedom, so don't justify anything. If you want to do a revolution, do it properly, but you never did 1776. You might be used to king and queens. You are, of course, part of the British Commonwealth. You had the queen on your coins. And what can I say? It's just like, and your DNA is not being able to sacrifice your lives to achieve freedom. Because to achieve freedom in the next few years, you're going to have to sacrifice your life. So, I mean, it's the same kind of thing I say when I'm on my Italian show. These Italians, chickens with no spine, they are basically oppressed. The government has said that even with no emergency, they're not going to take away the vaccine passport, the green pass. They continue indefinitely and with no justification. However, going back to Canada, Rand Paul warns that Trudeau Tyrannic Emergency Act can be implemented in the US. He says, Rand Paul, we actually have in the United States an emergency act that allows the president to shut down the internet. Senator Rand Paul has warned that the emergency power being wielded by the Trudeau regime in an effort to crush protests in Canada also exists in the US and can be implemented at any time by the government. Appearing on the Base Political podcast, Paul described the statute being used by the Canadian Prime Minister as a very the statute that, of course, is very dangerous. We have the same sort of statutes here, and I have a long time been an opponent of these. We actually have in the United States an emergency act that allows the president to shut down the internet, Paul added. Well, of course, Rand Paul is right, but there is a difference. Here, we have weapons. In Canada, they don't have weapons. In Canada, you can't even have concealed carry when you go out your house. You can't. You definitely can't have an AK-47 or any kind of machine guns. It's just like Italy or Europe. These countries are finally realizing that their illusion of democracy, it's an illusion.
What countries can have guns? Are we the only one?
Well, America is probably the only country yet in the world left, because Canada doesn't have many guns at all. Australia gave them away in the 90s. And
you can't have them in Europe.
You maybe can have them if you are a crook worldwide. If you are a crook and a criminal, you can have them. Either you are in Mexico, either you are in any other country in the world. If you are a criminal, you can always have guns. In Italy, criminals have guns. Nobody dares to mess with a criminal in Italy. That's the problem. You know? The police, when they see that you make them a bad face, you react to them badly, they actually leave you alone in Italy because maybe he has a gun. You understand? And I tried this a few times myself. When I was confrontational in a more aggressive way.
You always were.
And most of the time I was. They let me. What happened?
They just let you go.
Because they didn't want to have problem with me, because I was not taking their shit, you know. These Italians, chickens.
No, giving him a flashback.
Yeah, Rambo, what do you think about those Italians? Huh? Do you remember when they arrested your mother? He remembers. Rambo remembers. 10 years ago, actually it was 11 years ago now, I think. Come here, Rambo. Tell us what you go and pick him up. 11 years ago, we were in the city of Lucca, and in the morning, for some reason, Christie's visa had expired, and the
police. It didn't.
No, they said it had expired, and they sent you the police to pick you up from under the shower.
Yeah,
in an unprecedented move.
Yeah, they did that.
Shame on Italy. Like, I mean, I will never forget everything they did against me and my family in Italy. They are on the black.
They arrested
me. They are on my black book, and I will take revenge upon those people sooner or later. But already history, and I must say that nature is already taking everything that happened after I left Italy is demonstrating that the curse of Zagami on Italy is still in place and very much. And it's only the beginning, because now you have the war in Europe. The prices of gasoline, gas, the food, their pasta, they gonna be in the shit. And I'm sorry for them, but what can you do? That's how maybe you should have thought about acting against, karmically speaking, it doesn't work. No? to work to do what they did against me and my family. I know.
Well, maybe
I will forgive them if they, but you know what I wanted from them, so it's not a little thing. Yeah. So that was it. Yeah, I didn't know they arrested Christie also. Well, you actually talk about it in one of your books, no?
Yeah, the first
Which one? Volume 1 of your Confessions.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about
we were on our way to Monte Carlo.
You were on our way to Monte Carlo.
And we were stopping at a hotel in Lucca. And it was the next morning, and I was getting ready, and he went down to get breakfast with my son was there visiting for the summer, Tony. And they went down to get breakfast, and I heard the phone ring. I was in the shower, and I heard the phone ring in the hotel room. And so then I got out, and I was like just drying off, and he came in with my breakfast, and I said, the phone rang. And then it rang again, and it was the lobby, and they said there's a problem with my passport and to come down to the lobby. And so I just threw my dress on and my flip-flops. I was all wet, and I went, and there was the police there, and they said, like, you either come with us or you have to. I mean, like, they say you have to go with them. Like, you can't. If you resist, then they handcuff you. So I said, okay, I'll go. But I asked if I could ride with Leo, and so they let me ride with him to the Questura, and that's the Italian police thing. And so we went, and they said that all of a sudden I had like put in for my green card in Italy, and they said that it was denied, but nobody let me know that it was denied. I never got any kind of...
Yeah, you asked for permesso di soggiorno.
Yeah, it's like a green card, and they said it was denied, but I had been waiting, and I had been checking my status online to see if it was, I was very proactive in it. And so all of a sudden it was denied, and I had to leave the country in 2 weeks. So I was just so...
But strangely enough, I think the head of the CIA was in Italy. He arrived the day before in Italy or something. I found a little bit of a strange coincidence, but anyway.
I just wanted, like, at that moment, they wouldn't let my son come in to the police. So he was outside with Rambo, and it was summertime. So it was really, really hot, and they were sitting in the car. And all I can think of was, like, at that moment, I just wanted to get out of that Questura and be with my son. And so I was just taking it moment to moment. But then from that
I had a go at them.
Yeah, he like went off on them, and he's like, you let all these immigrants here, and you're giving an American a hard time. And what I should have done was gone to the embassy.
Yeah.
But I didn't even you just like...
you got really scared. We got all scared, and we actually ended up going into hiding for a few weeks because we turned the whole case to our lawyer. And because you were actually meant to leave Italy in 14 days.
Yeah, I was supposed to leave. Yeah. But we got a lawyer, and
it cost me something like 2,500 euros or something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, I mean, somehow I was able to stay. Once you go into like the appeal process, then you can actually stay in Italy while things are in appeal. So, but it was a pretty shitty thing. And then, like, it was just my first, that was with the Polizia, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was with the Polizia.
So it was my first, like, kind of thing where Italy is not so great. I had only been there for, like, a couple months, and all of a sudden all this crap started
And it was really when I really realized that also even the people who were trying to be friendly with us, like that Montuoro, they really didn't help us. So they were really like...
when you're in trouble, nobody helps you. I mean, when you're in trouble, you are you're just on your own. There's like nobody there to, like, you can't call anybody. I mean, you just gotta kind of help yourself. Hopefully, it was mostly staying out of jail.
So I said to those people, listen, she's an American citizen. The Americans freed you in 1945, and you are giving an American this kind of treatment. I said, you are outrageous, I said. And
then when they arrested me, like when I had to go with them from the hotel, It was full of tourists. Like the whole lobby was full, and they were all looking at me like I was a prostitute.
Oh, something. I don't know. It was just embarrassing,
Like,
of
maybe
course.
I got arrested for that.
Whatever. But anyway, Italy gets what they deserve now. They are the most oppressed country in the world, and they all live like prisoners in that country. And it's only the beginning of their problems, because after 2 years of pandemic, not only they're not going to take away their all these oppressive, regulations and mandates, but like I said, with no necessity, no requirement from actually even the medical community, they are still endorsing for another, the use of this vaccine passport known as the Green Pass, Super Green Pass, which basically it's a tyrannical tool which will put them under that kind of Chinese credit score system, which they're gonna be following, because they have sold themselves to China in March 2019, and that was another one of the many reasons why I left Italy. There was a series of reasons why I left Italy. Of course, the fact that I was condemned unjustly because of what I wrote in my book, Volume 1.
Mafia was after
me.
Mafia
was after me. The Calabrese Mafia was also after me, and all these people. And it was just, they never really gave me a break. And they also picked up on you at times, when they could. I remember when in 2014, January 2014, after that pitchfork social unrest, I was involved with. The Carabinieri broke the door of the house, and then after they interrogated Christie for hours with lights pointed at her, they came. I was arrested. I was picked up, brought away forcefully. They broke the door of the house. Then they came, and that was in the middle of the day. Then after that
was in the morning.
In morning, sorry. Then after they came in the evening.
No, they came like an hour, 2 hours later.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. But then they pointed lights at you, yeah?
They turned all the lights on in the house, and they're like, I don't know, there was three or four of them, and they surrounded me, and I was sitting down.
And what they said was, you need to leave Leo.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine this? The Italian Carabinieri police was getting into her private life, suggesting her to leave me.
Yeah, that's true. And then they were trying to convince me that you were crazy. And they would say, he's crazy. He's crazy. And I said, no, he's not.
These people, one thing that I'm half from Sicily. I don't forget. And my revenge comes in smoothly, don't worry. And it's going to be served on a cold plate, but it's going to be served. These people deserve it. So the whole thing ended up with me for 2 weeks in a nut house, 3 lawyers to get me out of there. The Tavistock Institute had ordered my, after I was prelevated, I was taken by the Carabinieri. They brought me to this place, headed by a professor, by the representative of the Italian Tavistock Institute, of the Tavistock Institute, which is in England, but this also has a branch in Italy. And basically, it was incredible. I mean, Tavistock Institute is a serious thing, guys. I mean, it's not a joke.
And they play communist music in the morning.
And to piss me off, ultimate, this was the thing I hated most. Every morning they played Bella Ciao, which is the partisan song, the communist hymn that the Italians play in every communist festival or radune they have. Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao. This was played to me every morning by a doctor who was a communist, just to piss me off. And like I said, in front of my lawyer, they said and I was like in front of my lawyer, who was also a Freemason. The professor there, called Giuseppe Nicolò, said, I represent the Tavistock Institute. And I said, you represent the Tavistock Institute? Are you sure what you're saying? Yes. I said, because I have a witness here who is my lawyer. I said, are you sure you don't want to end up on one of my future books? And he ended up, in fact, in all my future books. I mean, finally, I had the evidence that the Tavistock Institute not only existed in Great Britain and around the world, had been moving, but that the Tavistock Institute had been operating in Italy. And then I found out that their office was in the office of a bank. It was in the headquarters of a bank in Florence. So, as you can see, the banking cartel works hand in hand with the psychological mind control, because Tavistock Institute was born for mind control. And the guy, this Giuseppe Nicolò, not only is a member of an academic, a doctor, but is of course a Calabrese mafiosi from the 'Ndrangheta mafia, because what happened is that all the Sicilian, the Calabrese, the southern Italy, but mostly Calabrese people, they sent all these mafiosi, they sent their sons, but even in Sicily, to become doctors, to take control of the medical establishment, because they wanted to be all proper. So their sons had to Monte dei Paschi in Florence. Yes. I think it was Monte dei Paschi in Florence, the headquarters of the Tavistock in Italy. So that was basically a very negative experience. But we went through it. I was able to get a doctor who I knew from my Templar order, who was a friend, who was very well-known doctor. I paid him, but not much, 300 euros. And he told me, Leo, I'm taking a big burden on myself because I'm signing this piece of paper that will be that basically will let you leave Italy, because I'm testimonying that you are fine and that you don't need any meds or whatever. Because these people were wanting me to take lithium for the rest of my life and be brainwashed, and my brain becoming a jellyfish. Somebody said, if your marriage can withstand that, you can withstand anything. Absolutely. And we definitely went through very difficult moments. And I would suggest for all those who want to support us and want to know what's happening around the world now, to purchase Volume 7. But you have also other books, like Volume 6.66, very important book, Volume 5, and Volume 4. And then if you want to know more about all these crazy adventures, especially the ones that happened also in the last period we were in Italy, that didn't get much better, actually got worse, because then at that point I was condemned by a kangaroo court and whatnot, then you need to purchase Christie's books, because they really tell it as it is, even in a more direct.
I just had all these things happen, so I decided to write it down in a book, and then that was my first book, and then the second book came along because the things just kept happening. I was like, okay, after a couple of years, I was like, okay, I need to write another book because things just kept happening. But like our relationship, like we were always, we never, like, it was never about me and you, it was like all these things that happened to us, we always just stayed, it was like never like any friction between us.
Somebody says my hardcover is going to take a month to arrive. Yeah, unfortunately, hardcovers take a long time. I still have the paperback copy. I ordered it, but it takes a bit of time. You have to be patient for the hardcover. It can take a long time, depending on where you are, because you see, from what I noticed, the hardcovers are printed in specific places that are different from the paperback.
That's
places.
weird that it's taken so long, though.
Yeah, but it depends where he is, because I don't know where is this Cesare Rospide, in which part of the world he is writing from. Ladies and gentlemen, we are reaching that moment of the evening, which is caller time. In the meantime, though, I wanted to show you something very interesting, because it's basically a apparition of the Holy Mary in the sky.
Wow.
Of Medjugorje. I mean, some people say it's a fraud. Some people might always say these things are kind of organized. But I wanted to show it to all our viewers because I think that it's an incredible apparition of the Holy Mary, and it happened only a few weeks ago. So it's very recent. Watch. So we don't really know, we can't guarantee on the genuinity of this, but a lot of people who are into Marian apparitions are believing that this is a genuine apparition of the Holy Mary. Rambo, what's up with you? Pick up this little rebel dog. Now, talking about rebels and talking about Capo Christi and talking about what can happen to you when you are in a country like Canada or Australia. It's pure insanity what I'm about to show you. It's pure insanity. Check this out. I mean, this journalist is doing his job. Look at what the police does to him. Of course, he doesn't immediately show his journalist permit, and that makes them really agitate the possibility even of arresting him. And he needs to broadcast with this on top if he's not a legitimate journalist. Just see this passage. It's incredible, guys.
So let's just clarify. The rule here for media is while you're talking on the microphone, you don't actually...
Cover your nose and your mouth.
Okay.
You are not accredited media.
Sorry?
You are not accredited media.
I'm not... You're saying I'm not accredited media.
That's your accredited media pass issued by Victoria Police. Cover your nose.
So this is probably Australia from the accent, no? Check this out, guys. But what happens now is really insane.
No. So wait. So you're saying if I have an accredited media pass by Victoria Police, I don't have to cover my nose and mouth while talking on the microphone?
What I'm saying is you are not accredited media. Put your mask over your nose and your mouth.
No. Hold on.
Over your nose and your mouth. Thank you.
No. Hold on. No. You know what? Come, arrest me. If I'm not accredited,
cover your nose and your mouth.
Not when you're reporting on the microphone.
Media, please cover your nose and your mouth with a mask.
That is not an excuse to tell.
What is your reason for not wearing a mask?
Because I'm talking doing my job as media. The rules are while you're talking on the microphone, you do not, don't worry, you're not going to shoot me up, you clowns. Do you enjoy enforcing this?
What's your reason for being here today?
Doing my job. What's your reason for being here today?
What's your reason for being here
Don't touch my microphone.
What's your reason?
Doing my job. What's your reason here?
Okay, so you need to move on.
I'm getting it. No, I'm not moving on. I'm doing my job. I'm media. This is my job.
Where's your media ticket?
What do you mean media ticket?
You have a media pass.
No, you don't. You actually do not need a media pass to come to protest. No.
It's time for you to move on.
I'm not moving on. I'm here to do my job. You can't pick who the media is in this country. They're arresting me now here because they say they don't deem me as media. So right now, these thugs, right now, they think this is communist China where they can tell you which media is legitimate, which isn't. Can you find out about the mask rule that you guys don't actually know?
That's what we're trying to find out right now.
You might need to learn the Nazi laws that you're trying to enforce. These clowns think that they can tell you which media is legitimate, which source you can get your news from. If it's not deemed okay by the Gestapo, then it's got to be out.
We've got advice from the legal department that Rebel TV is an international company. It is mainstream media.
And do I need to wear a mask?
Not while you're talking on camera.
Oh, so can I just get that apology on camera?
Well, all I'm saying is...
Can I get that apology? Because what you just did to me, can you say sorry? Say one word. Say sorry.
I've given you this.
Say sorry.
The legal department.
Say sorry. Say, it's one word. You were wrong, I was wrong.
Thank you. You can wear your mask.
Say sorry. Say sorry. They'll never admit. That's why we're in the Supreme Court. StandWithAvi.com. That's why we're suing them. Because they keep playing this power trip on civilians that can't stand up for themselves. But I, with your help, can stand up with myself against this abuse of power, including her. Get her face. Yeah. See ya. You know what? You can't make that stuff up. They pick on citizens that can't fight back. But when you fight back, the power of the people, we win.
Wow. Christy, what do you think?
That's good.
Yeah, what a bunch of clowns, really. And what makes them decide if I am legitimate media or not legitimate media? I mean, it's incredible. And so the non-legitimate media has to wear the mask like this, and instead the legitimate media can take off their mask when they talk. I mean, what kind of screwed up rules? Please, guys, compliance is ruining this planet. Compliance is ruining this planet. And this is one of the things that I explain in my new book. Don't bow down to these people. Compliance is ruining this planet, but we are the Great Reject. Join the Great Reject. We have also an email here, and you can send us a pic with your book, with the copy of this book, or just a book in a surrounding that you like. We like also to do that. Ordo Illuminatorum Universalis at gmail.com. Guys, now we're gonna open the phone line because, of course, it's that time of the evening in which Christy needs to talk with you guys. So you have the one and only possibility of talking with Christy through the medium of the radio. How's that?
I can't talk to you.
Me
and you.
Well, of course, but if they are male, they probably prefer to talk with you.
And the girls like to talk to me.
Okay. The girls like to talk with you. Okay. +1 970 577 6369. Repeat, +1 if you're calling from outside the United States of America.
Maybe a dog will call and talk to him.
And then a dog might.
Don't touch him.
Okay, because it's being difficult.
It's the evening shows.
It's the evening show because then he needs to go for his little walkies.
We went, but
he needs to have another walk.
Dogs have a timer inside them.
Yeah, so he needs another walk. Okay, guys, the phone line will be open now. I didn't open it yet. It's about to open, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are with. Let's see if I.
Have you done
Rambo.
this yet?
Oh, yeah, I did it. No, I did it. It should be all fine. Hopefully it's fine. Yes, it's fine. The lines are open. So you can call +1 970 577 6369. Rambo, please stop snoring.
They can't hear him. They can't hear him. You guys can't hear him snoring, right?
No, I guess no. Okay. While we continue with the news is that, of course, now the situation is very ugly because you have Russia that, of course, has finally addressed the rest of the New World Order, saying we are, we are not going to take it the way you. I mean, we're not going to follow your impositions. Basically, we think that Ukraine is part of our history, and we want, at least up until now, those two breakaway republics have been recognized. Now we don't know if he's gonna bring further the invasion into the rest of the Ukrainian territory. In the meantime, of course, there is President Biden who has delivered his speech. Call now if you don't want to hear President Biden. Well, you can always call. Here's President Biden. Look at him. He's arriving. Here he is.
States. And he bizarrely asserted that these regions are no longer part of Ukraine and their sovereign territory. To put it simply, Russia just announced that it is carving out a big chunk of Ukraine. Last night, Putin authorized Russian forces to deploy into these regions. Today, he asserted that these regions are actually extend deeper than the 2 areas he recognized, claiming large areas currently under the jurisdiction of the Ukraine government. He's setting up a rationale to take more territory by force, in my view. And if we listened to his speech last night, and many of you did, I know, he's setting up a rationale to go much further. This is the beginning of a Russian invasion of Ukraine, as he indicated and asked permission to be able to do from his Duma. So let's begin to, I'm going to begin to impose sanctions in response.
So his big thing is to propose sanctions in response. Now, don't you remember, Christy, that in the other episode of the Leo Zagami show, I basically broadcast a series of comments made by Vladimir Putin that included the fact that if they issued more sanctions, they will get even more hostile reactions from Russia. And in the last few hours, the Duma, the Russian parliament, has given the approval for Russian army to act outside of Russia. So basically, they can go anywhere in the world now with, of course, the direct orders that are imparted by the Kremlin, by Vladimir Putin, but they can go outside of the boundaries of the Russian Federation. That is like unprecedented, because that means they could invade the whole of Europe. Now, let's, for a moment, talk about the numbers here. How many soldiers has Russia available at the moment on the board? 190,000. America has just sent maybe 4,000. Yes, they have put all their troops in alert, but the numbers of soldiers the number of soldiers that Russia could put out, could bring out for these confrontations are probably, going to put in difficulty any country, because they have the manpower. Aside from the technology, we're talking here about a nuclear power. We're not talking about some guys in the middle of, like I said once, and without repeating myself, in some mountain in Afghanistan, wearing a turban. Here we're talking about some very civilized individuals with very high-tech technology. And it seems like all this is happening because the West doesn't want to realize that there is a country, Russia, that is feeling threatened. Russia is feeling threatened, Christy. That is the problem here. And the West doesn't want to listen. We have Joe Biden, who talks nonsense. But we had once a president who actually made some sense in this country, and it was Donald J. Trump. Now, Donald J. Trump was laughed by the same Germans who are now closing down Nord Stream 2 and are fearing, of course, the fact that soon they're going to be left without any gas and oil, because even Qatar today said, we don't have that kind of oil for you. We don't. So here we are talking about the possibility that Europe is going to be left with nothing when it comes down. So I mean, yes, they can sanction somebody, but if that somebody has more power over you than you ever imagined, and you have given him this power, because the dependency of Europe on this energy was already denounced by Donald J. Trump in this very interesting speech he gave at the UN. Check out this speech, because the Germans, who are now crying and will cry in the months and years ahead, laughed at Donald J. Trump for saying something that they should have maybe listened, that they were too dependent on the energy resources coming from Russia.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course. Here in the Western Hemisphere, we are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment of expansionist foreign powers. It has been the formal policy of our country since President Monroe.
Look at those, just a second. Did you see those clowns, Christy? Did you see those clowns? I mean, did you see how they were laughing and mocking President Trump? These clowns are the same clowns who will be now crying. I think that Europe needs a war. I'm sorry to say that. I know it's a heavy statement, and I have relatives there, and of course, but Europe needs a war because they have been educated since the end of the 60s by a bunch of communists to values that are completely wrong. These technocrats have no idea of real life, no soul, no nothing. So I'm sorry to say that we might all suffer for what is coming, but these clowns need to pay for being clowns, because this is really the demonstration of it.
It has been the formal policy of our country since President Monroe.
So they laugh. Are they going to laugh now? Are they going to laugh now? Casey, what do you think?
Nobody's calling in.
Nobody's calling in. That's okay. Nobody's calling in, Christy. Nobody's calling in. Well, I mean, it can happen. It's their loss, not our loss.
It's the first time nobody called in. Well, then the show goes shorter.
I don't know. If you want, I can call myself to see if it's working.
Huh? You think it's not working?
No, I think
Maybe
it's working.
Not working.
No, I think it's working.
I think people are trying to call. It's not working.
Christy, I don't think.
There, somebody's calling.
Somebody's calling. And it's calling from outside the United States. Hello there. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from BC, Canada.
Ah, from the one and only Canada. So, well, I mean, this call, it's very risky for a Canadian, very daring for a Canadian. I mean, you could be arrested only for calling us.
Hi, Leo. I'm calling from British Columbia, Canada.
No, I listened to what you said, but I mean, do you realize that you are living in a dictatorship and that if you talk too much with me, you might get a visit from the police?
I don't care.
All right, okay.
Right on.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
You're awesome.
You're awesome and very courageous. So, what's your question today, and how is the situation really in Canada at the moment?
Sorry.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, how is the situation at the moment in Canada? Hello?
Well,
yes.
In Canada, everybody, they don't understand the news because they hear the CBC all the time.
Okay, so the state news, let's say, they are brainwashed.
Everybody is, I guess, they're kind of shocked because of the vote yesterday.
Because the Trudeau still not, even after clearing all that mess, is still going on with the state of emergency. Is that shocking? Is that something that is shocking, or that the Canadians expect it to continue indefinitely?
Yes, the Senate has yet to ratify it still.
Okay, so
it passed in the Parliament.
Okay. Do you think that there will be some objection in the Senate? Do you have any, do you have any kind of opposition in Canada, or it's just like a flat nation where everybody has one, just one possibility and that's it? Do you have anybody that is raising his voice against this nonsense? Because the whole world is watching you. There's a delay problem.
Well, as you know, Klaus Schwab has penetrated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's for sure. He has definitely penetrated the Canadian Parliament and censored even those who dare to talk about it. What do you think of the political future of Justin Trudeau now in Canada?
Hang on, I have to.
Do you think he has a political future? Hello?
Yeah, I just had to shut YouTube. I was getting an echo from
okay, no worries.
YouTube and Skype.
No worries. So do you think that Justin Trudeau still has some kind of political relevance after all this nonsense?
I think if there is another election, I don't think he's going to do that well. What I worry about with this Emergency Measures Act, it's the same sort of thing with what the U.S. did with the Patriot Act.
Okay.
They will, once they get these powers, they will just continue to renew the powers that, and they could do anything. They'll drive a car into the Parliament buildings and then claim that, we have to keep these powers.
It's a little bit, it seems a little bit like what's going on in Italy. Once they have enacted these emergency powers, they don't want to interrupt them, and they are, even when there is no more necessity, they are indefinitely issuing the possibility of continuing this green pass, which is super green pass, which is a sort of vaccine passport, which has become the norm now when you go to a restaurant, to a bar, anywhere in Italy. How is it instead in Canada? Because I heard that some kind of reaction meant that in some parts of Canada, they lifted a lot of these mandates.
Yeah, it's different from province to province.
Okay.
They are lifting them and talking about lifting them here in British Columbia, but we have a premier, like a governor here, that he's just all for this stuff. He loves the power.
He loves the power.
And I think they don't want to, these politicians don't want this COVID power that they've attained to end. So they just want to keep extending it. They're,
yeah,
we'll see what happens when the Senate,
you give them some power. I guess Christy needs to drink some water.
I do. It's
Christy,
happening again.
drink some water. Okay. Do you have any question for us this evening from Canada in particular? I mean, some question maybe pertaining Canada or pertaining the future, because we are living definitely an incredible time in the whole world with this crisis also that might bring us to the next level of their plan. I've always talked about the bacteriological warfare, and this whole pandemic has been the initial stage, so they could get us used to all these oppressive measures, which are wartime kind of measures, if you think about it. So now we are gonna join instead the real war, and at that point, what's gonna happen? It's gonna happen even worse. So, what is your point of view, and do you have any particular question?
Well, I don't wear a mask anywhere, and I just refuse to wear one. And if they harass me about wearing them, I just tell them I can't wear one. And they actually apologize when I tell them I can't wear a mask.
Okay.
So
it's a very polite, the Canadians. They're very polite. So
yeah.
I guess, yes.
So from now on, when I encounter these masked bandits, I'm just going to ask them, is that mask going to save you from nuclear fallout? Because, that's where we're headed next.
Yes. So, I mean, I think that what happened is this. We started with a cloth, then we went on to the N95s, and now the next level is going to wear the whole thing, with the classic post-apocalyptic wear that, of course, but it seems like we're heading in that direction, unfortunately. The Canadians, are they willing to oppose all this, or you think the majority of Canada is supporting the measures that have been taken by Trudeau and his communist regime?
Well, I don't know that. It's hard to say what the country thinks because they put out these opinion polls all the time, you know. And one thing I can say about Canada is there's a lot of libtards in the big cities, but Canada is a pretty rugged place to live. You know, most of the cities are in the south of Canada, but when you get into the north, that's rugged life, and there's not a lot of liberals living out there because it's cold, life is harder. You know, like, let's face it, people in high heels didn't build this country. You know,
today is a very special date. Some people connected also to Pluto, to a series of things that are connected to the numbers, 22, 02, 22. It seems like there is some kind of diabolical synchronicity at work, to say the least, in this date that seems to be the date in which we are unfolding the Third World War, because it seems like that's the case. I mean, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and it's like in this date, people are suddenly seeing the world going back to problems they didn't think they would ever have to fear in their lifetime, you know? So what do you think of this day and of these numbers at work?
Yeah, I heard it's the return of Pluto.
Yes.
Which was, wasn't it the day, on the day Rome fell?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely a day that brings us to some historic events that, of course, Pluto return. It's also, I mean, meaning Pluto will be in the same place it was on July 4, 1776, which, of course, it's for us a very important moment in the history of the United States. Pluto in astrology is associated with the transformation and metamorphosis. It's a particular epic moment. So it is like almost the universe is telling us this is a turning point. No?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And it's like what is happening in Ukraine, the escalation, the tensions. I thought for a moment that the war might have already started during the Olympics, but now I understand that really this epic, important date that is unprecedented, of course, is really hiding a plan that is also God's plan, because the end times is also God's plan. It's not only man's plan.
Yeah.
It's
they're racing against the clock because this is the end of Pisces, and people are starting to wake up, and they're really kind of crushed in between a rock and a hard place because they're trying to bring down this New World Order plan on all of us before we wake up.
There is, of course, the possibility that today some occult groups will use the particularity of this date in a specific time to unleash some ritual. And this is really something that I feel in the air. There is some kind of ritual going on, no? Don't you have this feeling also?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have, of course, the Burning Man or more superficial people who said that they will be doing a gathering at 12:22 p.m. to 2:22 p.m. and they did it today. And, some people, of course, take the superficiality of it, but there will be people who will be taking this date very seriously. The god of war, Mars, very important, also in Rome. Mars connected to Rome. Rome, and like we said in an earlier episode of the ZAGAMI show, when we were talking about Moscow, people don't know, but Moscow is referred to also as the third Rome. The first Rome was Rome, and then you had Constantinople, which became Istanbul, and then you had Moscow, which is the third and last final Rome, which will in turn bring together a new sort of empire. Now, we can say that we are facing definitely a sudden change in our history. Somebody mentioned Set here, and I mentioned Set right at the beginning of this book because the Great Reset is not only the Great Reset, but it's also the Great King Set, Great King Satan, because at times we have also this connection with the Judeo-Christian tradition and the Egyptian tradition. So it's the time in which Cyber Satan is taking control of the world with the artificial intelligence. What is your plan for the future?
I just take it day by day. I try to get away from this, like mentally for a while, but it always keeps coming back. The globalists are always doing something else that requires my attention. And one thing I know is that, and I tell people all the time, they are using our minds to build the prison that they are going to lock us into. So we have to stop believing these lies. They manipulate our consciousness with lies and propaganda. Mm-hmm. So I only watch the news to find out what the enemy is thinking and saying.
Now, the symbolic importance of today, a sign of God that we need to take into account. There was a very nice conversation that we had here live on air on this historical day, because in numerology, the 222 sequence is also referred to as angel numbers. The 2 refers to the energy of duality. In fact, Tuesday, we could call it not only Tuesday, but Tuesday today, because it's the day of the many twos. And the fact that we are in this duality moment, no? And we are also the beginning of this year of the tiger, Pluto returns, of course, it has returned on the 20th, which coincides with the 22nd day of the and it's interesting what is happening, because since America is a relatively young country, it has never really experienced the return of Pluto. It has experienced it at its foundation, but then it has never experienced it after. And so it's something that might really bring a profound transformation. So I will say that people maybe need to look into what happened in history now with, for example, Pluto returned in France and Russia, marking the deaths of Napoleon and Stalin, for example. It also, so I mean, it coincided with the unofficial fall from world leader status of certain people. And has definitely a very important significance. So it's a day that is profound, and I'm glad that you have called in today. So I hope that God blesses your life and your future in Canada. You need definitely extra prayers from us, because Canada is a place that will be facing particularly the struggle for freedom in the future, because you will notice that this is only the beginning of the oppressive regime that is being installed by your corrupt politicians, hoping that one day you are capable of rebelling and of joining the true freedom fighters that will be fighting also here in America, because I don't think we are very far from you also in terms of oppression. Once the Biden regime will probably use what is happening internationally with this world war that might really materialize to suspend all the elections,
Canadians are not going to take this. from Justin Trudeau, and this might turn into a general strike where we just stay home and we'll shut the whole country down. If nobody decides to go to work, the engine of the economy will come to a grinding halt. And then what's he going to do?
That is a very interesting possibility. I hope that you are right. I hope the majority of Canadians think like you. And I hope that you are right, because it will be a great example also for Americans. Because Americans have been relatively peaceful. Now we know that the convoy is starting and is heading for Washington, D.C. It will arrive there for when Biden is giving his State of the Nation. But we already know the FBI is working against them. We know they even involved the Central Intelligence Agency in this, in clamping down on all this. So I don't know if we're gonna ever even see a convoy in the same way you had it there in Canada. But I hope that sooner or later the people of North America, Canadians and Americans, unite in opposition of these tyrannical powers that unfortunately are led by other people who are pushing, of course, on us, the power players of the moment, which is mainly China. Russia is, of course, siding with China, but they are all part of this new world order that is moving from being American-centric to Sino-Russian. And it's all, of course, moving towards a socialistic approach. Because when the only thing that made me think, when I heard Putin recognizing these two republics, what did you notice? There is something that you should have noticed and that people didn't notice. What did they do?
What was that?
The People's Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk. The People's Republic. They didn't say the Republic of or the Republic of Donetsk or they said the People's Republic. It's like the People's Republic of China.
Right.
I mean, this is really what people should be focusing on, and I actually gonna probably have to write an article to wake up everybody on this reality. I mean, didn't you realize what Putin has just done? He has started the process to regenerate the Soviet Union, of course, and he's doing it by also a brand which is though more close to China because that was more successful in the long run. So the People's Republic is something that makes me understand that there is a heavy, yes, it's true that he is pushing for the rebirth, the regeneration of orthodoxy in Russia. But it's also true that it goes hand in hand with his will to regenerate the Soviet Union. There was always a hidden link between the Orthodox Church and the communists that people don't know much about.
Well, it was the Jesuits, wasn't it?
Well, of course. and the Jesuits played a very important role with also with Stalin. And so the People's Republic of Donetsk and the other People's Republic of that was basically put together, the Luhansk People's Republic, are probably the beginning of this return to a new form of communism, because it's the People's Republic. And maybe, who knows, maybe even Biden wants to become the People's Republic of the United States. If you actually go to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she will probably say, yes, that's a great idea. Bernie Sanders will embrace it immediately. The People's Republic of the United States of America. Huh?
I'm surprised how many people believe that Putin is going to be the savior.
No, it's not. It's not. No. I mean, this is completely. You are in fact, most people are getting it completely wrong. Putin is doing his job in favor of his people. That's it, and his people are, of course, supporting him for that reason. Everybody in Russia knows that when Putin eventually does something, he does it because it's in the interest of all the Russian people, but not of any other people than the Russian people. So to actually believe that he can be the savior of Christianity, the savior of mankind, or the savior of this and that, then you are really getting it a little bit wrong. Maximum.
Well, I see people believe they're saying that Putin is fighting against the Davos group.
How can a guy who, Klaus Schwab, we just had them earlier in the shows, admitted he was a young member, leader of the Global Shavers and of the World Economic Forum? How can I mean, how can you believe in this lie? The truth is in my new book.
I believe in that too.
You know, I mean, the people need to realize this is a show. Even when I talked with Owen the other time on InfoWars, I had to, I mean, you know, I said, listen, Owen, you don't get it. It's a show. They're all with, you know, on top. They're all together, and the solution is written in the Georgia Guidestones, and it's very evident, and it's very much announced publicly. 3/4 of mankind need to be eliminated. That's what they're saying. So how are you going to eliminate them? You're going to eliminate them, you think, only with a vaccine or with a virus or with a thing or with a bacteriological work? No, it's not enough. It's not enough. What has happened lately is hijacking our immune system, making us completely dependent on the big pharma companies, unleashing a never-ending bacteriological warfare, because this virus that came out of a lab is never-ending. Its variants will follow us for 1,000 years. And then now we have also the nuclear option in case they don't bow down to the new socialist communist world, because Xi Jinping and Putin are strong because they are in control. There's no election. In their countries, elections are just, I mean, in China, they don't even have elections. In Russia, they have a kind of a little theater, but that's it. It doesn't exist. So we have this problem. Our democracy is weak. And in 4 years, they buy every single person that joins the swamp. One promise I can give to the American people is that if I ever run for office and go to Washington, I will never join the swamp, because I can't be both. I was never able of, you know, that's why they didn't want me as a politician in Italy. That's why they probably will not want me as a politician here in America. But I know that this might sound crazy, but maybe, who knows, maybe one day if I have the opportunity as an American, I will run for office, because I would like to show the American people how we can go back into real politics, real statement, not people who are there tweeting BS and basically they don't know their history. When you face in front of you a guy like Vladimir Putin, who yesterday gave a history lesson like a professor of a university, you need to know your shit. And these people, sorry if I say, the people who are representing us at the moment in Washington, Republican and Democrats, they are a bunch of ignorant fools and wannabes. Compared to how politicians were 50. Yeah, no, but compared to how politicians were 50, 100 years ago in the US. No, I wasn't born in the USA, so I will never be able to run for a presidential office. But more modestly, I will be able to still join. You have people like Ilhan Omar or whatever, people that fucking terrorists are in the Congress of the United States these days. And I can run, of course, also for governor. But running for governor of a state like California, I will need to be aided by God himself and a miracle, because this state is in the hands of some criminals that have rigged the whole system. So I don't.
Gavin Newsom is a young global leader as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why the state has gone to shit.
It's like the brother of Justin Trudeau. I mean, it's like a sort of brother. I mean, they are kind of, they mold them with the same kind of, it's the same kind of figure. It's just, anyway.
If you did run for governor, remember you'll have Arnold Schwarzenegger criticizing your every move.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward for that. And yeah, I will really like to have a nice talk with Arnold, yeah? And his Nazi father and all his past, yeah? And we can talk about Nazi Austria, a topic that I discuss very much in detail in my new book is Nazi Austria. Well, my friend, we have to go. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling. Call us again. And bless you. God bless you. We definitely pray for you. Thank you, guys. We went on 2 hours today.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a long show. Please share. Please share this video. Put like, subscribe also to the other YouTube channels in case this channel gets removed. So,
let's all send our good energy to Canada. Canada needs.
You said a good energy to us. I mean, we are no better position in Canada. We are in communist California here, the People's Republic of California. Another People's Republic is the People's Republic of California, just to give you an idea. So, I mean, definitely 2 hours went fast, somebody said. So they must have enjoyed the show. Christy, you have a last message for our viewers?
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you probably on Thursday.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we need your support. Please purchase our books, or you can give us a donation. All the details are in the description of this video. And now, for the joy of all of you, of course, the final dance.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night. We're going to take Rambo out now.
Yes.
He's bothered me for hours.
He has some urgent business to do. He wants to leave a message for Joe Biden. And he's coming out of his butthole.
You're gross. Don't be so nasty. Don't be so nasty.
Take care, guys.
Everybody in the house is dancing right now.
Everybody in the house is dancing.
Everybody, I can feel it. I feel it.
Good night, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in the world. Pray for the future of mankind. Christy?
Oh, my throat is so dry.
Don't worry. If it gets too dry, we have a lot of stuff here in the house. Our bus choice. Ivermectin.
Oh, it's not that. Whatever.
Sweet wormwood. You want normal wormwood, maybe?
What are you going to do about the pollution? That's not going to happen. The pollution in California.
Pollution in California.
That's why, the air. It's bad air.
But that's because they haven't fixed that salt and seed business, which I will fix in a matter of 2 days. Don't worry, I have already a solution.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, guys. And from Palm Springs, California, that was the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy.
Oh, yeah, it's so long.